Welcome to The Open Queue, a podcast where we talk about entertainment, pop culture, and the daily life of navigating the entertainment industry as a creative. I'm your host, Shako Amari, and I'm joined by my business partner, Charles Malone. You'll sometimes have other creative guests on to tell us about their journey in the industry, dealing with their ups and downs, struggles, and successes. We'll also touch on the current changes of the business to television and film, as well as queue up what we're watching, listening to, or a piece of art we've been inspired by. The music you're listening to is called Stranger Things, from the TV show Stranger Things, composed by Kyle Dixon and Michael Stein. And now, let's get queued up. All right, and welcome to a quick mini episode of The Open Queue. So on this one, we just wanted to talk about Stranger Things. It finished over New Year's, the Christmas holidays, New Year's. I was a fan. I know there was a lot of controversy around season 5, final season. There was Conformity Gate, in which people believed there was like secret episodes and things like that. But to start off, just wanted to check with you, Charles. Did you watch it? Did you see it? If you did, what do you think about it?
It took me some time to finish Stranger Things, mostly because my fiance, I'm meh on the show. I'm giving you all this. I'm meh on it. I finished it. Meh. I really want to know how you feel about it because I know you were a bigger fan.
Yeah.
I feel like Stranger Things started really strong and lost me somewhere around into season 2 into season 3.
Got
I
it.
left and it didn't come back until season 5.
All right. No, that's a great opinion, because there's a lot of people who felt it was pretty good. There were a lot of people I know that felt like, yeah, season 2 kind of dipped a bit. They never fully recaptured the imagination of season 1, which I think is a difficult thing to do sometimes, because I do feel like when something is fresh and new, it leaves such an impact. The following season, for some people just don't equate to it. And then sticking the landing with a season, especially after the Game of Thrones controversy, I don't know if anyone ever really is happy with the ending of a show. I think maybe Breaking Bad people
like literally Breaking Bad
is like one that I can say, but I think most people are like divided, especially in this day of the internet. There's lots of opinions. But for me, as I've always said, I like what I like. I think things hit people differently. And for me, the ending of Stranger Things hit me, I think, at a time in my life where, for me, I was like, man, I want to create a show like this that has such a cultural impact that affects people. But for me, the ending was really about the closing chapter of childhood, of like that imagination. And I know that nostalgia is something that we've talked about a lot on this podcast and what that means. And I think reliving, like, again, I was a kid of the 80s, but I like what they call like the elder millennial. So some of the kid of the 90s, but some of the 80s stuff I still was affected by. And I think seeing what they call the simpler times, when you had to run to the house phone on the wall and your mom could be listening in, and like,
I use the rotor phone.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
Right.
Yeah.
All the cartoons on TV, you went riding with your bikes with friends. That was back in the days where the commercials used to be, parents, do you know where your kids are? And you had to be home by the time the street lights came on. Yeah. For me, watching that show and reliving that nostalgia and that childhood through it, and watching these kids grow up, and to see the way that ended. So I know you said you fell off. Do you mind if I spoil the ending for you?
Oh, I already know they're gonna do like a Vecna, I guess, prequel to a degree. I still haven't finished it completely.
Yeah. Okay.
Spoil it.
So they do have a Broadway show that does have some.
Wait, Stranger Things is a Broadway show?
Yeah. It has a Broadway show that is about Vecna and some like the prequels. That does tie into the Stranger Things universe. And you do pick up some of that stuff in the 5th episode. Now, for me, the very ending moment is the kids playing D&D again, the same way that the show started. Elle has disappeared. It's ambiguous whether or not she survived or sacrificed herself. Nobody really knows. So Mike does tell a story that kind of alludes to she could be alive, and the kids choose to believe. And then it ends with they're going up the stairs from the basement, and then Mike's sister, who's a big part of season 5, comes running down with the new generation of kids to play D&D, and he closes the door, and that's how the series ends.
And Mike is now like 11, right? He like has powers.
No. No, that's Will. So Will kinda had connection to the hive mind. He's a kid that disappeared, the vanishing of Will Byers. But he no longer has powers because they do kill Vecna. They kill Vecna. Will's mom chops off his head with an axe. She finally gets to use that axe she's been carrying around since season 1 that she destroyed the wall with. So she chops off his head. It's a happy ending. Nobody dies. Like, everyone survives except for 11, quote unquote, that we're not sure about. And for me, I felt it was wrapped up really nice in the sense that it felt like a D&D campaign, right? Like, you hope in a D&D campaign, all of you guys get to the end and it,
Yeah, I love a good D&D.
right, and you're heroes and everyone wins and you go off into the sunset and live your lives and your characters live their lives or whatever. So I like that aspect of it, especially since there were so many allusions to D&D throughout this whole series.
Flares and
Yeah, back all of that stuff. And funny enough, one of the Duffer brothers played Baldur's Gate 3, which I know you're a huge fan of. Yeah, he's a massive fan of it. I'm still in Act 3. I haven't finished it yet, but he's already gone through like multiple times, I think.
it's just yeah.
So for me, I really I enjoyed the fact that it was a moment in time. It was like a capsule, like what are those things? Time capsules that you put into the ground.
It
Um,
definitely was.
yeah, of the 80s and again, a lot of the nerd culture, like the misfits, the ones who played D&D and role-playing games at night. I'm one of them with my boys back in the day, going over to everyone's house, the sleepovers, all of that stuff. It was just, for me, very cathartic and very nice, especially with the way that I think the world is now and how tech has changed things so much, where tech technically was supposed to bring us together. I feel like it's kind of done the opposite. So getting to live that and see, and I'm not saying like the 80s were glorified. You're a kid. Like, most of us were kids in the 80s. I'm sure our parents had
I
stuff
do
to
have a
deal with.
thought
Oh, go ahead.
that
Yeah.
no. It's just the idea of like the glorified times.
Mhm.
I think it always feels that way
Of
as
course.
you get older.
Yeah,
It's like
that's what
kind
I'm
of
saying.
strange.
Like,
Yeah.
we're kids. I don't know what our parents were dealing with. It was probably tough. I mean, like, when you look at the Wheelers, Karen Wheeler, the mom, was like taking care of the kids. The dad was just kind of sitting there, like, not doing anything.
Yeah, SNL made that joke.
Right. Like, that's his whole thing throughout the whole show. He's like the absentee father. So I'm not saying like that was like great, because if you look at a lot of the 80s, 90s movies, there's a lot of those movies where it's like the absentee dad that has to realize his childhood again and that he cares about his kids, like Hook and stuff. But for me, I think, yeah, like, it was just cathartic. And so everyone has a right to have their opinion, but I'm on the side of, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it, and it inspired me.
No,
So,
it's like imagine like going speed dating,
mm.
right? Then you like fill out the little things like I'm into D&D and comic books and nerd culture and sci-fi. And it's like, man, we should be 100% match. And then you just like have different personalities and like, man, none of this clicks. That was being Stranger Things. On paper,
Yeah, I know.
love Stranger Things, but something after season 2, and it's not totally fair. It's just it did take a little time to get the seasons.
Yeah.
The gaps were pretty long.
Yep.
And when 3 dropped, there was just each year there's so much other content to compete with
Mhm.
that Stranger Things just got lost on my priority list to stay up with. And then when I came back, I was like, oh, I don't love this as much as I thought I did.
You bring up a good point, because that's something I was having a discussion with a friend of mine about, where sometimes I think people forget, when I say like disassociate,
Yeah.
is that even though we're like watching these and sometimes living vicariously through these characters' lives in these TV shows, that's a lot of work that goes into that. And when you have things like COVID that shuts down your production,
Yep.
or strikes that shut down your production, time happens. And then, to your point, when you have all of this content that's thrown at you on streaming services, it's really hard now to keep that story flowing and keep people engaged. So when you go back, you're kind of like, what? Okay, I watched the recap at the beginning of the season, but why do I care again? Which is interesting, because after the end of season 5, I went back to watch the start to season 1 again. And there was
Can't finish Act 3 of Baldur's Gate? No, that's just shade.
As I was saying, I started realizing there was a lot of things that were connected that I completely forgot about because, to your point, the seasons and the year after year were so long. I didn't even realize that Stranger Things started in 2016.
Wow.
Right. It started when I started at the last company that I worked at and ended the same time 9 years later that I left that company. So almost a decade it's been going on. And I didn't. So watching it through now, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things that connect and have even more meaning than I did before. And at some point in time, I will finish Act 3. But the difference between watching a TV show and playing Act 3,
You're more invested.
I die multiple times. I don't die when I'm watching the TV show and have to replay the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So that is my spiel on Stranger Things. And, if you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. I had a long discussion with a friend of mine, Alex, about how he felt about it.
So, how did you feel? I mean, yes, hit us with things. We're trying to engage more. If you love the show, if you are like me and thought it was like mediocre and you're kind of an outlier and like it's okay. Like it's fun, but it's like okay. But don't listen to me because sometimes I get called a contrarian just to be one. That's not necessarily true, but I can't also lie that Severance was overrated to me. It was pretty, but it's a whole nother story.
Oh, man.
Watching some of season 5,
Mhm.
there's like heavy LGBTQ influence and like coming out, which, I really wasn't picking up on in season 1, 2, which was a kind of like Harry Potter, where like you really do age with these kids.
Yes. Yeah. 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 I mean, apparently that was the whole thing about Will being different from Jump. And so now going back and watching season 1, I
Oh, it's
could
like the
see.
80s when different meant gay. No, I'm just being
Yes.
funny.
Basically, yes, yeah. But in season 1, they do say that about Will. Like, Will's father calls him, the F word, and then, like, the boys, like, some of the bullies make fun of Will, alluding to that he's a fairy and
He's
things
gay.
like that.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Which, again, if you're watching season 5 way back, like, now, and forget all of that in season 1, you go, "Oh, wait, why are they writing about this?" But it's been there the whole time.
Yeah. No, I guess it was. You again, with the time, you forget.
Mhm. So many things.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that watching season 1, I realized alluded to in season 5 that I completely forgot. And I was like, oh, that's how that ties into that. Oh, that's a callback to that. Oh, that's this, which I think is really smart, you know, which is what I think you should do if you're writing a series like that.
I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
it's over. They have the Broadway show.
Hmm.
Do you really feel like there's enough here? You in the comments, you Deshaka, like I don't see enough of a world that really justifies expanding to me personally. Like you can expand anything if you try and the writing's good enough. But I feel like this could just be it.
So I feel, to your point, like a good D&D campaign, this could be it.
Yeah.
Like it's done, then we move on to a completely new set of characters. So the only way I think, which is what the Duffer Brothers were alluding to, the only way I could see Stranger Things universe expanding, it's a completely new campaign with a completely new set of characters, and the only thing that carries over is it's called Stranger Things.
But how if like Vecta and like
That's what I'm saying. Like, it would just be like,
something new strange happening?
yes,
Okay.
that's it.
I can do that.
But
Like
it
D&D, it's a whole new.
Right. It's
Yeah.
still Dungeons and Dragons, but now we've created new characters, new templates. I'm still
It's
playing the
it's
Wood
a
Elf
new
because,
villain of some sort.
right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could see it going. I think these characters, their chapter is over. They've ridden off into the sunset.
It's just I don't feel like we need the Vecna prequel, but
No, I
maybe I'm
don't.
not a fan of the series.
Yeah, I don't know if they're really going to. They say that, so that one of the things, so this may be interesting, and you've played more D&D than I have, so let me know if this makes sense to you. What they did say is that there is a stone that was in this that affects Vecna. That stone will have something to do with like the new campaign. So in D&D, is there ever a thing where it's like there was a legacy item or
Well,
something?
of course.
Right. So I think that's probably what
Yeah.
they're doing. But again, to your point, it's a new campaign that just has something from the old campaign.
Yeah, it's kind of if you're thinking like D&D, it's kind of
Mhm.
like the Mighty Nine versus Vox Machina.
Yes.
It's just again the same world, but new stories, new gods. You're dealing with new regions and wars. If you killed the big bad, there's nothing to carry over.
Right.
And like what is left besides going back in time? It's like Game of Thrones for me, the House of Dragons.
Mm.
I know we're talking about Stranger Things, but the Seven Kingdoms that just dropped,
Mm.
I'm not interested. I'm just not.
Did you watch it?
I tried.
Okay, I haven't watched it yet, because I know the story already, and that was the same thing with me with, like, House of Dragons, like, I know the stories already, so I'm not as excited to watch those come to life, I guess.
So with Stranger Things, and with
Mhm,
the Harry Potters,
mhm,
the Dungeons and Dragons, another writer friend said to me because I posed this question. He's like, when from his writer brain, when he's trying to think like George Lucas or some of these other people and their IP, it's hard to do sequels in the future because if I think about a world, I want to see new characters and world expansion. But he's like, it becomes hard because then you have to change the rules of the world.
mm,
So like Harry Potter, I was like, why don't we go into present day? And his thing was like, but then you have to like work to figure out like how to make technology and these things work. It's easier to go back in time.
because you already have the established rules and
You don't have to bend as much. And I was like, yeah, but that just sounds like you don't want to work. I stay throwing shots. I apologize.
No, but I mean, like, to me, I agree with you. Like, that's a challenge. It's like, how do you make something
That's
work?
more fun.
Yeah, and stretch your brain in the exercise of can we make it work? And I think it's cool when you can do that. Kind of like the Underworld series, where it's like, how do we bring vampires and werewolves into the present and have them function in society? Where there's cameras and machine guns and silver bullets
That's
and
why I
stuff.
hope this stone, because like, all right, Stranger Things,
Hmm.
fast forward 10 years and it's like 1996. And like now you have 90s nostalgia and another totally generation of like,
Hmm.
kids adapting something else that, Tamagotchi is now the thing. The Pogs. Sorry. But I think now is
Pokemon.
this nostalgia is coming around. Dude, it was huge. The trading card games really like, but yeah.
No, that just
I,
got me thinking. I'm wondering, like, could you use like Pokemon cards as the D&D kind of like,
D&D did fall off for a tad bit, I feel like.
yeah,
I think the video games came really hard.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It did have, NES in the 80s and the Game Boy, but one
90s.
thing was still 90s?
No, no, the 80s, you're right. I said,
Yeah.
but by the time the 90s came
You
around,
had like Genesis,
yeah,
Game Gear, Super Nintendo now is coming out
yeah,
and then by the late 90s you started to get like Dreamcast and stuff and
yeah.
like no one wants to sit around with pens and pencils anymore.
I mean, Fallout was on, you could start doing RPGs on computer and,
Yeah.
and consoles.
I mean, one thing like Stranger Things and D&D, if anyone out there is a fan, tell us what you think about the show. But also, if you're looking to get into D&D, like D&D Beyond,
This
Roll
guy.
20, Foundry is like really good and like it really steps up the D&D because you can build out these interactive maps with lighting changing and like sound effects to really, yeah, my guy, to build out the like the atmosphere,
Yeah.
like texture. Like you walk into a cave and you like press a button, it's like lightning and like you can like
Oh,
really get immersed into these things, especially if you get a really good DM that knows how to.
yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I absolutely do enjoy playing those games. Even though with this guy, we tried playing Baldur's Gate online, and I'm sitting there trying to talk to like a character and like, understand what the question is. Next thing I know, we drop into a battle, and I'm like, "What happened?" And he's like, "Oh, I attacked the guy." Girl.
Not all the time.
The other time that we played D&D, I think there was what was it that there was a guy coming down the street or something, and we were having a conversation trying to wait, and then you and I think Martin started throwing stuff at him. I don't even remember.
Oh, you can't. Okay. I've got another bud who's, awesome cinematographer and like gaffer and just like all around good dude.
Mhm,
But you
mhm.
put him and I in a D&D campaign together
It's done.
and it's done. Because not only it's just like we fuck with each other, but then when we do that, it fucks with the whole campaign.
Yeah, and then the ones trying to be practical and understand
Yeah.
everything is like, I guess I'm fighting.
Yeah. Trolling each other that affects everyone else.
Yeah.
That part is real. But yeah, let us know what you think of the show.
Yeah, I'd love to hear, love to hear. And if you didn't like the ending, what would be your version of the ending? I would love to
Woo!
hear. Like, give me your thoughts or your fan fiction or what you would have liked to see. I know for some people they wanted to see more Demigorgons. The Duffer Brothers thought that to be Demigorgon fatigue. Um, I would love to hear it. This is the fun of these shows is sometimes it may not end the way that we want, but in something like this, you get to decide. This is your time to flex your creative juice. Tell me your story.
And see you next time.
Yeah, on the open queue. Peace. Hey, Shaka popping in here like a Marvel post credit scene. And I did have one more thing to say on Stranger Things. And that is a huge, huge congratulations to my friend Christy Walden. Christy plays the librarian in Stranger Things. You can see her in season 1, I believe season 3, and she makes a comeback in season 5. So if you haven't watched the show yet, be on the lookout for her. She's hilarious. She's funny. Christy, congratulations to you. I know how hard you've worked since way back at our alma mater, Go Cougs, U of H, up until now. And I know that I can't wait to see what you do going forward in the future because you're an amazing creative. So congratulations on being on what I guess many would consider a monumental piece of cinematic history because it did move all of us. Any child of the 80s knows that. You had a fan base for people younger than the 80s. I think that's really, really cool. So I'm hoping you're celebrating. And to the rest of you, go watch Stranger Things. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. And let me know what you think about the librarian. I think she's pretty cool. Until then, we'll see you in the queue or the upside down. The Open Queue is an Open Queue production. If you like the show, be sure to follow, rate, and review it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. And tell your friends and fam to do the same. Also, feel free to share a link to someone who you think might really enjoy this conversation. The music you're listening to is called Kids from the TV show Stranger Things, composed by Kyle Dixon and Michael Stein. Until next time, try to avoid the upside down, and we'll see you in the queue.